It feels like almost every month there's some new trendy video about how gaming has fell off and people are complaining about the new games today. Now, to be fair, it's not a completely dumb statement, as I did grow up in a time prior to patches, online requirements, and when games could actually be played off of the disc. While today, you're lucky if the game even is on the disc at all. I understand the outcry for some things of the past to return, but as far as the games themselves go, overall, they're just as good, if not better, than they were before. The fussing I see comes from certain gamers that tend to not expand their horizon. Which is funny because these same people, when you mention that, they say in the good old days, you didn't have to expand your horizon. You could just play whatever you wanted to play and it was perfectly fine. Or, and just hear me out here, you were about 12 years old and you weren't as picky as you are now that you're like 30 and 40 years old. So it's not that you didn't expand your horizon in the past, it's that in the past you weren't picky and you probably were just satisfied playing the few games that you did play because you would either go outside, hang with your friends, but you know how it is when we get older, we get jobs, we get careers, families, a lot of times we just stick in the house, and when you rely on the games to be your source of entertainment and you feel like it's not the same as the past, you think it's something wrong with the games, when really it could just be something wrong with you. Back in the day, I knew a lot of kids that only played Madden and NBA Live, and they rarely tried any new games, and they were just as satisfied. So why can't you do the same thing today? It's not just because those games suck today or something. It's because you are looking for something that isn't really a realistic thing anymore. You're looking for your childhood in gaming when you are not a child anymore. And I know that the games themselves can't be a factor because the same people saying there's nothing to play will ignore the tons of amazing, highly critically acclaimed indie games that drop every month. So finding a fun game to play really isn't the problem when you think about it. To these people, these games have to have high-end graphics, a high Metacritic score, and for whatever reason, a lot of these people will laugh in your face if you recommend a turn-based RPG. So you have all these rules around what you can tell these people to play or recommend them to play, which leads me to believe again that the games are not the problem, it's the people themselves. So not only are there plenty of amazing games to play that they haven't tried out yet, but unlike games of the past, games go on sale so much, both physically and digitally, that there's a high chance that not only could you find something great to play, you're going to find it for an affordable price. So even if you're worried about diving into something you're not familiar with and spending a lot of money, you can find great games for like $20, $10, and these people still will not play them and complain that there's nothing to play. So let's get this straight. Gaming is not only cheaper than it ever was before, but there's way many more games to play than there ever were before. Now, maybe my recommendations simply aren't their thing, and that's fine, but I can work with that. So you say you got nothing to play, right? Most people today, because of these sales, have a huge backlog of games that a lot of them never even turned on, never even launched. These same people saying they have nothing to play will never touch their backlog. So even if hypothetically in a year nothing interests you, well, you have a bunch of games you bought, and I would imagine if you bought them, they must have interested you at some point. Why don't you play them? Oh, that's right, you won't play them because they're old now and you no longer care to play them anymore because of reasons. Look, I think you all know where I'm going with this. I've been showing both old and new games all throughout this video that a lot of these same people have not played, or they skipped over, or they heard they were bad but they didn't give them a chance because, you know, you have to judge stuff on your own accord at times. There's tons of things to play, tons of games to experience, and if you have multiple systems like me, you really have no room to complain because it's always something available for you. So saying that anyone is lacking games to play is just completely making things up in their own head. Now, granted, I will say there are certain genres that aren't as popular as they were before, so finding games in those genres are hard. For example, one of my favorite genres growing up were the extreme sports games, and it is true that we don't have nearly as many as we did from the early 2000s. We still have a few, and some are even getting remade, like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3+4 is coming out this month. But this is the only genre from the past that I could think of that really did fall off. And due to licensing and companies being greedy, sports games as a whole kind of sort of fell off in the sense of having variety. You used to have multiple teams making different football games and they all had the NFL license. There are still people making other football games, but they may not be NFL based. They may just be made up teams, and there's some that are really fun to play. Like I'm showing you one now on the screen. This is a fun game, and it's unrealistic, so it kind of reminds you of Blitz, but it's with monsters and stuff. It's pretty cool. But that's not what most people talk about. They're just talking about games, period, have fallen off, and that's where I disagree. Just last month, like every year during June, we have game showcases showing off brand new games that are coming out. Just this past month alone, we have Death Stranding 2 that came out, Mario Kart came out. I myself just played Cyberpunk for the very first time, and I can't wait to review that for you guys. Hell, I went through Ninja Gaiden 1, both Ninja Gaiden 2 and Sigma 2. Still need to get Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, Razor's Edge, Lollipop Chainsaw, Onimusha, Tomb Raider 1 through 3, all this year for the first time. All those games may be old. I know you're going to say that, but they were new to me. And shouldn't that be the only thing that matters, that you're playing a new experience that you never had before? Because let's not pretend like everyone has money and time to buy every new game when it first releases. So all the people saying they have nothing to play but refuse to go play something from even a few months ago, again, I go back to that you were just complaining to complain. A brand new game that came out this year that I enjoyed was First Berserker. Days Gone Remastered came out this year. I know the game's old, but I beat the original and I had a fun time playing it all over again. I'm even going for the Platinum Trophy. I have so much to play that anyone saying they can't find anything is honestly just being overly picky, or worse, they never were really gamers to begin with. I've had this conversation with a few of my gaming buddies over the years, and it's a hard thing to convey, so bear with me. What I'm about to say isn't some elitist BS about how I'm a real gamer and you guys aren't, because I play games that you don't. That's idiotic and not in my character, but I know how most of these conversations go on the internet, so I wanted to clearly explain that is not my angle before I get into the conversation. There is a chance that maybe you've never been into gaming like you thought you were, and that is something a lot of people struggle with coming to grips with. Let's go over some gaming history. I remember in the Xbox 360 and PS3 era, the United States was going through a recession and many people lost their jobs at the time. And some people, as a distraction, went out and bought Xbox 360s, PlayStation 3s, and they occupied their time by playing online games like Call of Duty and Halo. They learned how to play games, a lot of them for the first time, made some friends online, had good memories, all that nice stuff. But as time went on, they still stuck with the games even after going back to work. But gaming wasn't the same for them anymore. And it wasn't because gaming had changed, it's because they no longer needed the games as a distraction. They still enjoy games a little bit, but they mostly just enjoy talking to the friends they met online. So they will find themselves getting on Xbox Live, getting on PSN just to talk to their friends. And they found themselves not gaming nearly as much as they once were because they were too occupied just speaking to their friends. They didn't really care to game like they thought. They are struggling to find something that catches their eye in this ocean of available games because they don't really care about games like they think they do and just haven't realized it yet. They have mixed a brief moment in time as a gamer for a lifetime membership. But in actuality, you don't have a lifetime membership. You were just a welcome guest in the house of gaming, and you're always welcomed. But the reason you're complaining, the reason why you don't see the things the way we see it, is not because we're better than you, it's because you're not putting the pieces together. They forgot why they got into gaming. They got into gaming because they were bored at the time, but now they're not bored anymore. Now their life has whatever it was searching for. Now the gaming is not needed. And they never really grew an attachment to gaming as a whole. They just grew attachment to the people they met along the way, some of the memories of the past. That's how they're always talking about the past. Like the past was so great. The past was crap too in a lot of ways. That's a part they keep forgetting. And to say there's nothing to play with thousands of games available on a platform at one time and they go on sale all the time so they're affordable too, dog, you just don't like games like you think you do. And that's okay. And that's okay. Now, there are going to be people that say, no, I feel the same way and I've been gaming for longer than Xbox 360. I've been gaming forever and I think gaming sucks too and there's nothing to play now either. Okay, this is my argument for you guys. You guys just suffer from nostalgia. Just like the person that got into gaming for a distraction, you guys are holding on to gaming because you're trying to hold on to some piece of your childhood. You all aren't really different. You're just a different side of the coin because guess what? I have a gaming PC. A mid-range gaming PC is not that expensive. You can emulate tons of games from the past. I'm playing games I played before, games I've never played before. And like I said, most people care about playing new things that's to them. I'm not the biggest book reader, But if I went and read a book, I'm not gonna say because the book came out in the 1800s and it's new to me, it don't count as a new book. I mean, yeah, it's not literally new, but it's a new book to me. You guys, when we tell you to go play something old that you never played before, then your same argument is, well, it's old. Well, you play old games all the time and say games that are old are great. So go play an old game that you never played before. But you don't want to do that because you're just complaining. That's the new game, people. I want you to understand. The new game that everyone is raving about is complaining on the internet. That's the new game. And that's the game that no one wants to talk about. That's the game that no one wants to acknowledge, that these people have found out that they could complain on the internet, communicate with other people, so they're getting their communication fix. They can possibly make money off of complaining on the internet, so now they're getting paid to do their hobby. That's the new game. That's the real distraction. That's the real thing that keeps these videos coming. They want to complain and they want gaming to seem like it's oh so bad. Trust me, there's tons of stuff that's bad about gaming, and I've talked about it, and I'm gonna keep talking. I got something to talk about thanks to some news that dropped today from Xbox. It's bad stuff to talk about, but to say there's nothing to play, never heard a music fan say there's nothing to listen to. There may not be any new music from a particular artist they want to hear. That's totally different. But to say they got nothing to listen to, nothing from the past, nothing from a few months ago, nothing brand new, nothing's good, it all sucks. Come on. Anyway, thanks for listening. Let me know down in the description if there's any game that you saw, put the timestamp, and if you have interest in it, say, what is that? I'll tell you the name of the title. And if I played it before, I'll give you a brief little rundown. I also have a link at the end of the video of my playlist of games I reviewed on my channel. So if you want to see my opinion on stuff, and trust me, my opinion is just my opinion. If you liked anything that I didn't like or disliked something I didn't like, it doesn't mean much of anything. We just got different views. But I would encourage you, if you dislike something that I did like, try it again. I'm not in the business of making you dislike something like me. So if I didn't like something, but you did, then matter of fact, tell me what you liked about it. I might try it again. Maybe I'll see it from a different light. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section. Peace out, keep gaming, God bless, and I'll see you in the next video.